Mina Wahab here in West Hollywood, California at the premiere of I Love That For You. What does it feel like seeing yourself just blown up like that?
I'm so lucky because I got to do what I love to do with my life. I knew what I wanted at a very early age. You know, I was 5 years old when I sang my first solo in church, and from the reaction of the congregation, I just looked out and went, oh, this is life. And I never looked back.
What was the solo that you sang?
This is
Can
funny.
you give us a little intro?
Oh, Lord, you brought me a mighty long way. Now, I'm 5 years old, and I'm saying that the Lord has brought me a mighty long way. What a lunatic. I started off as a lunatic.
Time is relative, you know, maybe for you.
Crazy after all these years.
What do you think the formula for funny is?
I think it's hard. You're absolutely right. It's so subjective, so you never know what's going to make people laugh. But for me, the stuff that I find the funniest is the stuff that's kind of relatable, where people can kind of see themselves in the characters or in the situations or whatever. So for me, the more relatable, sort of the better. Even if it's not on the surface relatable, but there's just things about it that feel like people can kind of see themselves in.
Tell me about what your duties entail as the showrunner of this show.
Ooh, okay. The showrunner of the show, you want to make it a more complicated title than it is, but you just run the show. So it's sort of like being the set mom, and you're, in charge of every aspect of it. And when someone has that random question of like, should we use this, I don't know, a curtain or that curtain in a room, you say that curtain, and you kind of just make it up and go as you go along.
What was the highlight of your time show running this show?
Oh my gosh, that's really hard to say because every day there was a moment where I was like, I'm so lucky to have this job. I can't believe this. Just working with Vanessa Bayer and Molly Shannon and Jennifer Lewis, as well as everyone else. But these are three iconic women, and just all of them were doing something magical every day where I was like, I can't believe I'm here.
What about home shopping sets the stage for this to be so funny?
It just feels very rich. It feels also like people are presenting a version of themselves kind of anytime they're on TV or on air. And so that who are you really, who are you presenting is always very funny to me. And then there's this artifice to it, and yet the people who are really good at it make it feel so natural, and so it's like you're swept away. It's this wizardry, and the words that they use and the way they talk about things, it's really it's endlessly funny.
Tell me about your character in this show.
So my character on the show is named Bina Patel. Shout out Patels, kept my last name. She is a producer on the show. She's just a weird alien of a person. I think deep down she probably does mean well, but it just does not translate. She's kind of in her own world, and the thing you see that she's the most passionate about besides her job at the end of the day is her sick dog. So she kind of gets to exist in this world where she enters situations and scenes and is just an absolute weirdo, which is very fun for me to play because I don't have to carry any plot.
What can we look forward to with this show?
I think you're going to laugh a lot. I think you're going to see a lot of people having a lot of fun, which is going to make you laugh even harder. I think you're going to recognize yourself in some certain situations about when you tell little white lies just to, make life a little easier and then maybe get caught in those. I think it's a pretty universal story, and hopefully you enjoy yourself, have a good time.
How much improv is there in this show, and how much of it is scripted?
Well, the whole thing is scripted, but I mean every single take, either Jesse Klein, the showrunner, or Sudie Green, one of the producers and writers, or Jeremy or Vanessa would say, let's just do this. And, the directors were cool with that too. So in really every scene, there was an opportunity for some improv. So, I'm just excited to see the scenes that I wasn't in, to see what everybody else did, because every time I was in a scene with them, I was like, mind blown. You know?
Tell me about your character on this show.
Bethan is the most. She's always doing the most. It's like, you know that old adage, before you leave the house, take one thing off? She's a put one thing on person. Hey, Darren! Bethan puts one thing on before she leaves the house. It's like too many things all the time because she's the most. But
Is she a hoarder?
you know what? She's not a hoarder. She's actually organized, but she just loves attention and she loves to be glam. She loves to have a moment and make a statement. It's just a lot, you know. She's a lot of personality. Not everyone can handle Bethan.
And she's obviously funny.
I think she's funny. She's out of her goddamn mind, but I think she's funny.
Tell me a little bit about your character on this show.
So I play Darcy, who is the first to tell you that he's the senior associate, not the assistant, to Patricia Cochran, who's played by the luminous and incredible Jennifer Lewis. And I really love my role on this show because, you know, I auditioned for a lot of assistants. You know, I'm a gay actor and I'm a, you know, I just say I got a lot of assistants in my inbox in terms of like, you know, I often come into a room and ask, what flavor pressed juice would you like? Where would you like me to put these papers down, you know? But this role, I felt really delved into that stereotype and sort of went into the psyche of what happens when this person is only their job. What happens when someone who makes their entire life, their professional life, what happens when that person gets devalued and feels disrespected or feels trapped? And I'm really excited to say he gets into some desperate spots and we see him take some desperate measures. So you got to keep watching to see how it unfolds. But I get to go a little psycho in the show.